So back in our code, let's now go down to our delete place constant and see what we have to change here to make sure we can delete the place successfully. The first part here, our try catch block to check whether we have any general error, is fine. There is only one thing we have to add right here. Because what we want to do in the end is we want to find the place ID of a place we're looking for to delete this place, but at the same time we also want to search through our users collection and see which user has this place. And then we want to make sure that if we delete a place, that this ID is also deleted from this user document. This means we need access to a user document and we need to overwrite or change an existing, information in this document. And to do so, we can use the so-called populate method here. Populate allows us to exactly do that, so to refer to a document stored in another collection and to work with data in that existing document of that other collection. To do so, we need a relation between these two documents, and these relations were established in our user.js file here with ref place and in our place.js file here with ref user. Only if this connection is existing, then we are allowed to use populate. Otherwise, this populate method would not work. And the populate method needs one additional information. It needs information about the document where we want to change something. And within this document, we need to refer to a specific property. In our case, this is the creator property, because the creator property contains the user ID. Mongoose then takes this ID, but searches through the entire user data. So the ID allows us to search through the user and then to get back all the data stored in a user document. With that, we have the theoretical option to change something in our user and of course to also find the place by ID in our place document. We can keep the rest of this code here like this. This is fine. Now, before we work on this try catch block though, I see we missed something before, because what we should do here actually is, before we continue, we should check whether a place is actually existing, because this is our general error catching part, but we never check whether a place ID actually exists. Let's quickly implement that. If place like this, so if we don't find a place for the provided ID, well then we want to return an error stating that we could not find place for this ID, error code 404, and of course return next error like this. So this is what we forgot before. Now this is a better error handling syntax, I would say. So let's now focus on to this try catch part though, because actually this is exactly the same approach that we followed when creating the place. Of course, now we don't want to save and push, but remove and pull, little hint here. But generally, the handling of this code is exactly the same. So we again need a session to start our transaction, and only if we can delete the place and if we can delete the place ID from the corresponding user, then this transaction should be executed. Otherwise, we will have an error here. So this one, something went wrong, could not delete place. So now is your chance to pause the video at this stage and to implement this code on your own. After that, we'll do it together. So let's see. We already have some code here. I would like to start from scratch though. For that, we first need to create our new constant for our current session. Here we have to add a wait as it's an asynchronous task. And now we need to use start session here. With start session, we can now use the start transaction method here. And with that, we can get started with the actual logic we need to make sure we can delete the place. First, we need to remove the place from our places collection. We checked before whether the place exists. Therefore, we can simply refer to place remove here. And we need to add the session property here to make sure we refer to the current session, so ses here, so this is the session that we just created. And removing also is an asynchronous task. So we remove the place. Now we have to access our place stored in the creator, so the place ID. For that we refer to place.creator, and in the creator we want to access places, so our places array, and here we now don't want to push but to pull, our place. As explained before, for push, Pull will also automatically remove the ID, so we don't have to explicitly tell Mongoose to remove an ID. This is done internally by default. This should hopefully remove the place from the user. What we need to do now is we need to save our newly created user. This is again an asynchronous task, and we refer to place.creator and now to the save method. Very important though, as we did it for remove with our places, here we again have to refer to our current session. You can name this of course as you prefer. This is the name of the constant here. We can use places pull and save on creator like that because creator, well, thanks to populate, gave us the full user object linked to that place. And if all this was successful, then we can finally commit our transaction. So this is it actually. With that, we can also hopefully remove a place. The response right here is fine, so we can keep this. So let's save this and let's go to MongoDB. And let's say we want to delete the Empire State Building now. For that, we need our object ID here. So this one. So let's copy paste this. Now let's go to Postman, create a new request. This time, this is a delete request. This goes to /places here, and now our ID that we just copied. If we hit send now, we can hopefully delete the place, and we should also see that the place is no longer part of the array in our user. So let's hit send. And this looks good. We get the message deleted place here. Let's also have a look at this in our database. If we reload that, we can see places is empty, so this worked fine. And also for our user here, we still have the array, but as you can see, we don't have any more places here in our array. Therefore, deleting the place from the user also worked fine. With that, we are almost done with this module. There is actually one optional thing I would like to show you, because here we use this populate method. And there is another part in our project where we could use this populate method. This is optional though. I just want to show you how this method works in a bit more detail. And the place where we can use this as an alternative is here when we get our places by the user ID. So in this constant here, this is the last part of this module in the end. So let me show you how we can use an alternative syntax here with the populate method.